Hello everyone and welcome back to Read M. My name is Emily and today I have a very exciting video for you all. Today I will be doing a try a chapter / unhaul video where I take a lot of the books that I own and try the first or a chapter in them to see if I like them, and if it doesn't hook me enough, I'm going to be unhauling them. And that's something that I really need to do because I have way too many books and so many that I've sat on my shelves for years longer than they should have. And most of the books that I buy, I either am gifted or I buy them very cheap, like $1 or $2 from book sales, used book sales. So I don't feel too guilty about when I have to get rid of them because I just want room on my shelves for the books that I'm excited about. As you can see, I have these 3 piles. They extend even farther than are on camera of the books that I want to take a look at for this video. They are kind of a wide variety of genres. It goes from classics to young adult, sci-fi, romance, everything you can really think of. And yeah, I guess we'll get right into it. Might as well just start with whatever's on top. First one I have here is The Truth About Forever by Sarah Dessen. I have 2 Sarah Dessen books here. I've never read a Sarah Dessen book, and the reason that I put them on this list is because I'm not 100% sure that I would still be interested in them because they take place during high school and I am no longer in high school, and so high school stories don't really appeal to me as much anymore unless they have some other factor. So yeah, that's why I'll be trying these out to see if I no longer would like to keep it. Okay, so I'll just update you all with my thoughts. Okay, so I just finished reading the first chapter of The Truth About Forever by Sarah Dessen. It was 16 pages, and I'm happy to report that I really enjoyed it. It does take place with a character in high school, but I loved so many of the elements that were just in the first chapter alone, and then I read a little bit on the back of it just to see if things will continue to be interesting, and it sounds like it's gonna be so fun, but also heartbreaking at the same time. So basically, what I got from at least the first chapter alone is that it is about a girl named Macy who is going to be spending the summer alone because her boyfriend is going away to like an academic camp, and he's like a perfect academic scholar, but he's going to be away at camp, and she's going to really miss him because she's had trouble opening up to people recently because she is currently grieving the death of her father, which she actually witnessed. It doesn't really say how long ago, but I'm assuming like probably within the past year or so. And it's kind of just, I think, going to be about her dealing with her grief and probably making new friends, maybe making new relationships, not really sure, but I loved her voice in the first chapter. I loved all the conversations we had, and so yeah, I'm definitely keeping this one. And so I think to continue on this train, the second book I think I'm going to try a chapter of is going to be Just Listen by Sarah Dessen, which is obviously the same author. I, again, don't know anything about this really besides Sarah Dessen, but yeah, I think the first chapter should also be relatively quick. Okay, so in this one, the first chapter is 17 pages, so kind of the same. And yeah, I'm going to get into reading this one next, and then I'll update you when I'm done. Okay, so I have a confession. It might be unsurprising, but I also really loved the first chapter of this book too. And even more surprisingly, this first chapter didn't really even take place when the character was in high school. It was when she was literally in middle school. It's like a backstory of her friendship that ended. So basically what I got from the first chapter of this, and by kind of reading back a little bit, I don't like to read too much, but I want to read a little bit just to see if I was also interested in where it would go. This is about a girl named Annabelle who is starting, I forget which year exactly of high school, what 1 year of high school, without some of her friendships that she previously had, especially one with Sophie, which is a girl that she had met in 6th grade, and something has happened between them that has completely torn their friendship apart. The reason that I liked these 2 chapters from this book and the other book by the same author is just I love the character voice, and I also am really in awe of how accurately Sarah Dessen is able to just completely encapsulate what it felt like and like how you thought being like middle school or high school aged girl. Like the way that these characters are thinking, the way that their minds are working, the way that they find some things to be so important, some things to not matter at all, is just so incredibly relatable, and I'm not sure I've read anything quite as exactly relatable. So I'm definitely keeping Just Listen as well as The Truth About Forever by Sarah Dessen. So I'm very excited. I'm very happy that I did this because honestly this has just gotten me more excited to read them and probably gonna make me put them higher on my TBR radar. Okay, so I'm just taking from the pile. The next book that I have in this pile is I've Got Your Number by Sophie Kinsella. This, again, is a book that I bought for like $1 at a book sale, and I'm not really sure why I bought it. I think, again, so like Sarah Dessen, I had never read a Sophie Kinsella book, so I was interested. This, however, is an adult romance, and I don't think I've ever read an adult romance, and I'm not really sure it would be my thing, and I'm also not sure if this type of like kind of cheesy, chiclety voice would be my thing either, but I guess we'll find out. I don't know how, but the first chapter of this one is also 16 pages, so I'm going to read the first chapter of this and get back to you once again. Guys, I cannot tell if this video is a success or an utter failure because I'm liking all of these books. You know, it's good that I'm liking them and I'm getting more and more excited to actually read them, but you know, I thought I'd be unhauling a few books today, but I mean, we still have a ways to go, so we'll see what happens with that. But anyway, so I read the first chapter, first 60 pages of I've Got Your Number by Sophie Kinsella, and this is very different from the other more darker tones of the other books. This is so cheesy, but it's so fun. It honestly kind of reminds me of Again But Better by Christine Riccio. I really enjoyed that book, and I really enjoyed the like fun, quirky tone of it. It's very like over the top, but so entertaining and so fun and like whimsical, even though it's like a realistic fiction story. Well, it's not realistic by any means. You know what I mean? It's like suspending your disbelief, but it's fun. So yeah, so basically the first chapter of this, our main character Poppy is running around frantically trying to find the antique engagement ring that she has just lost because she was in a hotel ballroom, you know, doing like a night of lottery tickets, drinking champagne and tea and things like that, and all of a sudden all her friends want to try on her ring. They're all doing that, and the lottery's going on at the same time, and she's trying to say her friend actually won and someone else won, and then the fire alarm goes off, so then she's running, scrambling about, and she can't find her ring, and she's running around frantically, and then right as she finally gets outside and has given everyone her number, she gets hit by a bike and her phone is stolen from her, and now she's even more flustered, completely panicking. But then right at the end of the chapter, she goes back into the hotel and notices that sitting in a trash can is just another cell phone. Yeah. And then that's what happens in the first chapter, but I, you know, kind of wanted to read back to see where it was gonna go. And then from there, the cell phone actually ends up being the cell phone of a successful businessman who is named Sam, and he kind of is angry that she's then using his phone, and I think shenanigans will ensue from there and whatnot. But I, again, super enjoyed the tone of this. It's super funny, super entertaining, and I definitely think this would be like a super fun summer read potentially, although I'm not sure I'm gonna get to it that soon, but like just in general, I definitely want to keep this book as well, and Sophie Kinsella definitely be another author that I'll consider wanting to read more from. Okay, so now the next book I have here is The Kingdom of Back by Marie Lu. Now this was actually a book that I got in Owl Crate probably a very long time ago at this point, and I love Marie Lu's Legend series. That's one of my favorite series of all time. I want to reread it so badly, but this book doesn't appeal to me quite as much as some of her other series. I have like a bunch of her other series, but like those that definitely still appeal to me even though I haven't read them yet. But this one, I think is like a historical fantasy inspired somewhat by like, the family of Mozart. Yeah, so I'm not really sure if that's up my alley, and I've heard like mixed things, or like maybe not mixed, but like middle of the road reviews, so it hasn't really like jumped out to me that much. And let's see how the first chapter is. I do love this edition though, like the pages are silver, you can't really see, but it's so pretty. Anyway, okay, so there's a one-page prologue, which I'll definitely read that. And then the actual first chapter, it's like 14 pages. So again, we're really getting to like 16 pages every single time. I'm gonna get to this one next and let you know what I think. We'll see if this is the first one I actually don't want to keep, but who knows, because I love Marie Lu, so we'll see if she can work her magic. Okay, things are getting a little bit more exciting in the video, I guess, now, because I think I'm going to be parting ways with The Kingdom of Back. I read the first chapter, and there is a lot that I did like about it, but not quite enough where I think I would like want to read the entire book. I do love Marie Lu's writing style. That is definitely still a strength, and I'm still super excited to get to like her other books that I'm more excited about. But the reason that this didn't quite work for me is because I think of its like heavy focus on music, and I just am someone who doesn't really have any passion for music. But the things that I do think a lot of people might enjoy about this is the theme of not wanting to be forgotten. It really reminds me a kind of Amy and Joe March in Little Women, and the way this was written also somewhat reminded me a lot of the Winter Song series by S.J. Jones, I think was the author, where I really liked the first book of that series, but I did not like the second book, so it kind of reminded me of that as well. It also somewhat reminded me of the book I'm actually writing right now, except mine has sort of a STEM element instead of a music element, so that's kind of, I guess, exactly where the distinctions lie, is that I do like the vibes of it. I like the historical fantasy idea. I like the idea of taking a forgotten person from history. I just don't care about music enough to feel like I would actually enjoy this perspective from the sister of Mozart. And I don't know if I did a good job of explaining this before, but it's actually about the sister of Mozart in real life, who has been greatly forgotten because she was, kind of overshadowed by her brother, and even though he might have had similar talents to her, she was never really allowed to compose, from my understanding, because she was a woman in the 18th century. And yeah, so I definitely think that someone would definitely love this, could definitely enjoy this. The writing is so good. It's just that it's not really something I'm particularly interested in, so if I'm not gonna pick it up anytime soon, I don't feel the need to own this gorgeous edition. So yeah, I'm definitely going to be unhauling this one, so that's the first unhaul of the video. Okay, so now for the next book that I will be reading the first chapter of, I have Nowhere But Here by Katie McGarry. I don't keep a lot of my hardcovers with the dish jacket on, so I'm sorry that you can't see the cover, but yeah. First chapter of this is also 15 pages. They're all 15 pages, except I don't think this one starts on page 1. Yeah, it starts on page 7, so it's only like 7 pages. This one will be super quick, and actually it says, the first chapter says Emily on it, so I guess it's from her perspective. So yeah, I'm gonna get into this one next, and then I'll update you again. Okay, just finished reading the first chapter of Nowhere But Here, and yeah, I'm not keeping this one. This was something I might have enjoyed maybe middle school or high school, but right now it really doesn't stand out to me, and it's part of a series, and it's super long, and it just wasn't that exciting. The first chapter is basically just about the main character, Emily, getting a note from her biological father saying that his mother had passed away, and so their family, like her adopted family, was gonna have to go to the funeral because her mother is also her biological mother, but her father is her adopted father, and so they're going to the funeral and whatever. And then I know, based on like the blurb and stuff, when she gets there, she eventually has to stay for like a few weeks because the biological dad wants her to stay for a little while, and then she kind of starts having a thing for like the biker dude, like, because the biological dad's in like a biker gang. I don't really know. It sounds pretty cliche, good girl, bad boy situation, and nothing really stood out about it to me, so yeah, this one is going in the unhaul pile for sure. Okay, so next up on my list from my pile is a new whole section that's happening, which are Rainbow Rowell books. So yeah, the first one is called Attachments. This one's an adult romance, and the other two I have are young adult romances. The thing about this is that I know one of the ones I have is like kind of problematic. The other two I have, the young adult ones, are Fangirl and Eleanor Park, and so I've just heard mixed things about this in general, but just like in general, nothing really wrong with it. Fangirl people have really liked, and I'm kind of excited about it because I know it takes place in college, which a lot of books don't, but I don't really tend to like fandom based things, so that's why I'm not sure about that one. And then Eleanor Park, I've heard people who really loved it, and other people who point out a lot of the sort of very racist undertones happening, so not really sure about this one, but the other two potentially I might like, but I'm still gonna give this one a chance because I already own it. But oh, it seems that I've already tried to read this one, so that's not a good sign, but I will attempt the first chapter again. The first one that I will be attempting is Attachments by Rainbow Rowell. Chapter 1 is a solid 3 pages, so I think this will be a quick one to update you about, so see you in literally 5 seconds. I have a confession, everyone. I actually read the first 2 chapters of Attachments because the first chapter was only 3 pages, and I wanted to read the next one because it was also only 3 pages. But anyway, so this one I have mixed feelings about. I think I'm going to keep it because I am intrigued and want to read more. I'm just mildly concerned because the premise of this book is that At a newsroom office, two women use their work emails to just talk to each other, even though it's supposed to be just like work emails. And there is a guy who is hired to like monitor the work emails to make sure no one's like breaking the rules. And they know about this guy. They know that he can see their emails and that he's supposed to, like it's his job. So he's reading their emails, and then I'm pretty sure, like based on the back and everything, he is gonna fall in love with one of them from their emails, which mildly gives me stalker vibes. Not really enjoying that. But at the same time, they're the ones that are, you know, writing this stuff in their emails, even though they know he's watching or someone's watching. So, like, it's consensual. It's just very strange. Not really sure I'm feeling about that, but I also kind of want to see I feel about that, because I've heard so many people love this book, and then I've heard other people who are just like, this is a stalker, this is very concerning. So, I'm curious. It's also short, like, I feel like I would read it really fast whenever I get to it. So I think I'm going to keep this one because I'm just very curious. I'm very curious about what I would actually feel about it, because it's kind of concerning, but like I just want to know why some people don't think it's concerning. Like, you know, I don't know. It's like interesting. I would read more because it seemed like really fast paced also. Okay, so that brings me next to Eleanor Park by the same author. This is a young adult romance, which I've heard is problematic because of some racism, which is not ideal. But I will give the first chapter a try because I already own it and I bought it used anyway, so the author didn't get money from that. It's only 9 pages, so that will also be super quick. And I'll get back to you when I finish. Okay, so we're back, and this was not good. This is definitely an unhaul. Did not really enjoy the dynamic of the characters. The first chapter was from Park's perspective, the boy in the book. And he's like very weird, annoying kid. And then the girl is a new girl and she's also really weird. And like whatever, I get it. I'm sure people in high school who are like feeling that and the bullying, whatever, will connect. But I'm like, we're past that, okay? And then also, I've seen so many reviews from Asian readers saying how problematic and horrible the Asian representation is in this. So that, combined with the fact that nothing about it really interested me, has led me to a decision that I will be unhauling this one. So yes, this is another one for the unhaul pile. And next up is going to be Fangirl, the final Rainbow Rowell book for this tri-chapter experiment. So hopefully I have better luck with this one. We'll see what happens, and yeah, I'll be back soon. Okay, yet another plot twist has occurred because I loved the first chapter of Fangirl. This had so many things I really enjoyed. First of all, it is a character starting college, and I really don't think I've read any books of characters in college, and even though I've already done my freshman year, it was like, you know, COVID university, so, you know, starting college is still something that is kind of in my mind because next year, my sophomore year, is going to be kind of like another freshman year, honestly. I also loved, I'm pretty sure, I mean, from what I could tell in the first chapter, it seems like our main character has anxiety, which I relate. Love to see a good anxiety rep. She also wears glasses, which is such a little thing, but I don't think, like, nearly any characters ever, especially in movies, wear glasses. Like, they just never do. It's just like a small thing. So just like, I don't know. So that was just kind of fun. I also really enjoyed the fandom aspect more than I thought I was going to. Even though I don't like fandom sort of like movies and books and stuff, like sometimes when it's over the top, this so far seemed like similar to my level of enjoying things from a fandom level, so I think I could like relate to that a lot. I also, there was this one line that I just related to so much, that said, "You can't take back texts. If you come off all moody and melancholy in a text, it just sits there in your phone reminding you of what a drag you are." And I just 100% relate to that. Like, she didn't want to send the text because she thought, like, what if it wasn't, you know, chipper and whatever, to get someone back home, and it'd be like, it just haunts you after you sent it, and you're like, oh my god, it was the wrong tone, and then you're like, I should text to explain that I didn't mean that, but then you're like, oh my god, but that's so annoying, and then you do it anyway, and then you're like, I'm so annoying, that's actually so annoying, and then it all just spirals into a snowball, and it's horrible. So I just really related so far to this, and I'm definitely going to be keeping this, which means I also be keeping, Carry On, which is, like, the book kind of inspired by, like, the fictional book series, like, within this series, or within this book, It's kind of hard to explain. I mean, I don't really know everything yet because I haven't read it, but like, yeah. So I'm definitely keeping Fangirl, and I should actually probably get to this soon because if I wait too long, it probably won't be as relatable anymore, considering I'm still someone who's like, you know, kind of starting college. So anyway, yeah, I loved this first chapter. It actually just like made me want to keep reading, so I'm definitely keeping this one. Next up, we have an interesting one. So I have this book, The Complete Tales and Poems of Edgar Allan Poe, and one of my friends actually gifted this to me once, a long time ago, and I think I've read one poem from it, which was Annabelle Lee, because I read a different book that was inspired by that poem, so I was interested, and I was like, oh, I have this book, I should just read the original poem, so I did, and it was good, but like, I don't go around reading poetry or classics that often, so I was thinking for this one, I'm not just going to read the first thing in the book, I'm going to read the two, like, ones that everyone talks about, that everyone knows, because I feel like if I don't like the, like, best ones, am I going to like the other ones? Probably not. So I'm going to read the poem, The Raven, and I'm going to read the story, The Telltale Heart. They're both really short, and yeah, so I don't know how this is going to go. I was also kind of hanging on to this because there was rumors that Timothée Chalamet might have been cast as Edgar Allan Poe in an upcoming project, but then it was actually cast as the guy who plays Neville in Harry Potter, so I don't have to worry about that anymore, although I'm interested in seeing that movie, but I don't feel the need to have read a ton of Edgar Allan Poe to see the movie. And you know what? I'll have read his two most famous things anyway, by the time I finish this challenge or whatever, or this project. So I'm gonna go read The Raven and The Telltale Heart, and we're gonna see how I feel about it, and I'll let you know in a few minutes. Okay, I'm back, and I'm not gonna lie, I think I'm a little too stupid for this. So update. I read The Raven. It's alright. I don't think I like really fully understood it. Poetry is not really my thing. Like classical poetry is not really my thing. I've never really studied it before, so I don't really think I fully grasped it, but that's that. But The Telltale Heart was just a short story I really enjoyed. I can't say much, it's only a few pages. It's basically just about a man who commits crime and then things ensue. But I did enjoy the short story. I just don't think that it's enough to want to keep this like massive book on my shelves. I definitely think I might read a few more of his short stories one day, but I'm sure they're all available online because they're like in the public domain. So I don't feel a need to own this like huge edition of every single thing Edgar Allan Poe's ever written, and obviously that might change if I like fall in love with his stories for some reason on a different occasion. But if that happens, I could buy a different edition or like whatever, it's fine. So I'm not going to keep this, but I would like to mention one thing. Actually, on the page after The Raven, I did see this one poem, which is literally like one sentence, but I don't know why, I just kind of liked it, but I'll read it. Okay, ready? It's called Deep in Earth. Deep in earth my love is lying, and I must weep alone. I just find that entertaining, because it's like, Edgar Allan Poe was down bad. Edgar Allan Poe was having some issues. But that's also clear by a lot of these other poems. He was a hopeless romantic, what can I say? And he had a weird fascination with the macabre, but that's okay. Anyway, I don't feel the need to keep this edition, but I am somewhat interested in reading more stories from him, maybe in the future, but I'll definitely just read them online, and whatever. So anyway, I will be unhauling this edition of Edgar Allan Poe. Next on my list, we have Reign of the Fallen by Sarah Glenn Marsh. Now, this book is a book that I remember hearing about a few years ago when it was coming out. I was hearing mixed reviews, and I ultimately decided I didn't want to read it. But then, I went to a book sale where it was like 50 cents, and I was like, but isn't it about like necromancers and stuff? And then I was like, that kind of sounds epic. Even though I hadn't been getting the best reviews, I was like, it's 50 cents, I'm gonna buy it anyway. So I did. And then Riley Marie, who I love all of her booktube videos, I'll link her down below, she really enjoyed this duology. It's a duology. So I was like, oh, maybe I should keep it after all. So that's like my conflict, because it's like, I just don't know, it gets such mixed reviews. So that's why I decided, you know, I'm just gonna read the first chapter, we're gonna see what I think. That's what's gonna happen now. First chapter is 15 pages. They're like all 15 pages. Okay, anyway, so this one, yeah, first chapter is 15 pages. I'm going to get to that now, and I'll be back once again once I'm done. And this one, I'm super excited to see if I love it or hate it, because I don't know. I just want to finally know if I want to get rid of this or not. So yeah, we'll see very soon. I apologize if the angle has changed a little bit, but I just took a little break, but now I'm back. And I am happy, very happy to report that The first chapter of this book was very interesting. I did find the world building to potentially be a little bit clumsy, but that could be for one of two reasons. It could be because this is an old advanced reader's copy, which means it's not the final copy of the book, so maybe they did change things a little bit for the final copy, so like, whatever, I'm not gonna blame it for that. But also it was just the first chapter in a fantasy book, and I've been mostly reading contemporary books, so they'd have less to set up in a first chapter, you know? But overall, this world was super interesting, and reading the, like, author's letter and the blurb, after reading the first chapter also really helped me, like, get excited for what is to come later on in the book and the series as well. So I think I'm going to be keeping this one. The reason that this drew me in is that it's basically about a kingdom where nothing is allowed to change. Based on the blurb, I think it has to do with some sort of god that, like, has to control us, but in the first chapter you don't get to hear about that. But basically nothing is allowed to change. That means, like, fashion, foods, whatever, but it also means the royalty. So they have to, when they die, they have to be brought back from the dead. And there's people that are necromancers that do this, and they have, if they do it incorrectly, they can become these, like, zombie things, and they have to be defeated. And then there's also, our main character is, I believe, named Odessa, and she seems fun so far, and she has a partner who is also, like, her boyfriend, but she, in the first chapter, just met this princess, one of the royalty, who's actually an inventor, which also excited me, because I like kind of inventor tropes, but I'm pretty sure, based on, like, the vibes I was getting, and, like, sort of in the blurb, I think a romance will bloom between her and the princess, rather than the current boyfriend dude. But anyway, all of this has been really fun and intriguing, and I definitely want to keep this one, and I'm glad I bought it that one time at the bookstore, at the used book sale. So yeah, I'm definitely keeping this one. This one is a win. Next up, we have Witches Steeped in Gold by Sienna Smart. I'm not sure if that is how you pronounce it, but this is another Owl Crate book. I actually got this one pretty recently. It's just that I'm not really super into a witch's trope, and this one's real chunky, and it's been getting kind of mixed reviews. What does stand out to me about it is that I believe it's Jamaican inspired, which I don't think I've read a Jamaican inspired fantasy before, or maybe not even too many, if any, Jamaican books in general. So that does interest me, but the witches and the reviews I've been hearing are kind of, and the length is kind of throwing me off a little bit. So yeah, let me see how long the first chapter is. Okay, the first chapter is only 8 pages, so it's probably going to take kind of a lot to really interest me, but we'll see what these 8 pages can do, and I'll update you once I read them. Okay, well, I tried. I read the first chapter of this, and I was kind of right. It wasn't really doing anything for me. It was fine, and I was a little conflicted, because, like, I was wondering, you know, maybe it gets really good, because sometimes, you know, fantasy books start a bit slower, but I was looking at a lot of reviews, and a lot of them kind of just find it middle of the road, and since it's so long, and I have so many other books in my TBR already, like, I don't have time for just books that I kind of expect to give, like, 3 stars, so, and I also think that this book, for a lot of other people, is gonna, like, mean the world, and I would love to be able to just give it to someone who truly, truly wants it, especially this beautiful Owl Crate edition. So I'm going to be passing this one along, and yeah, so this is another one for the Unhaul pile. Okay, so next up, I have Among the Beasts and Briars by Ashley Poston. I have not read from this author before, but I do have one for other books, Heart of Iron, which I actively am very excited about. That book, that's a sci-fi book, but this one I believe is some sort of fantasy, like maybe fairy tale situation. I'm not sure about the fairy tale part, but yeah, this is another Owl Crate book. It's very pretty. Nothing really stood out to me about it, but I also don't know much about it, so let's see how long the first chapter is. It's 15 pages, like they always are. So yes, I will read the first chapter and prologue of Among the Beasts and Briars, and then I will come back and let you know about my thoughts. Okay, so I just finished reading the first chapter of Among the Beasts and Briars, and kind of what I was expecting. It's not really up my alley. I think something I'm kind of realizing is I don't really enjoy fantasy books about, like a curse coming into the woods, or, like, the woods attacking things. I don't know if that makes any sense, but like woodland fantasies aren't really my thing, and I don't know why that is true specifically. I really cannot tell you, but it is. And on top of that, I felt like the first chapter kind of read a little bit like a middle grade, which isn't really my thing as either. So overall, this just wasn't my cup of tea, but I'm sure someone would love this gorgeous edition, so I'll be passing this on to, you know, someone who really wants it. So yeah, this is also being added to the Unhaul pile. Okay, so next up we have something pretty interesting. We have Lore by Alexandra Bracken. And here's the thing about this. The pitch sounds pretty exciting. It's sort of pitched as like Hunger Games meets Greek mythology, which kind of sounds epic. But here's my gripe. I have read 2 Alexandra Bracken books before, and they were unrelated books. Like, they were from 2 different series. And I 2-starred one of them, I think 3-starred the other one. Something about her writing style is so incredibly boring to me, even when the plots could be interesting. Like, even when the pitches are so interesting, I don't like the books. So I'm very, very hesitant about this one, although I'm happy though, because even if I don't like the first chapter, I will definitely just give this to my sister because she loves Greek mythology, and she loves the Hunger Games, so like, I mean, she would probably like this, and she's never read Alexandra Bracken, so I don't know if she has the same issues with the writing as me, but yeah, so I'm still gonna try this one. I'm gonna try the first chapter. Yeah, so let me just see how long it is. So, it's like 16 pages in total, but not, that's including like all the prologue and stuff. So yeah, I think I'm going to give that a try. I'm pretty sure I'm not gonna like this one, but I still want to give it a try because the pitch sounds so good. So yeah, I'll update you guys and let you know how this one goes. Guys, I don't know how it happened, but this video has yet another plot twist because, by the grace of perhaps the Greek gods themselves, I loved the first chapter of this book. Like, yes. The prologue and stuff was fine, but I'm always kind of impartial prologues because it's usually so, like, you don't really understand what it means until later in the book, right? But the first actual chapter of this, guys, I loved it. I don't know if it's because of, like, it involved boxing, which, like, my mom and I low-key kind of watch sometimes. It's kind of fun. I don't know. I just like fighting, you know. Anyway, and then also this had, like, a whole, like, feminist take to it as well, which I didn't even know was part of the story. And I was getting those vibes in the first chapter, but then I also got that confirmed in the author letter from the Alcott edition, and that got me even more excited about it. So, in a surprising turn of events, I'm definitely keeping this one and not getting rid of it. So this is going into my to-read pile, and I am very excited. And I'm not sure if this is the first in a series or not, but if it is, and I end up liking it, like, that's so exciting because the pitch for this is so good, and I just really hope I actually end up liking it. Like, the first chapter was so good, and I wanted to, like, keep reading, but I didn't because, obviously, to continue with the video. But, like, I'm excited about this one. I really am. Okay, so I know that I've been doing so many, but we have officially reached the final 3 books. So the next one is All the Missing Girls by Megan Miranda. And now, here's a funny story about this one. So, you know, at Barnes & Noble, or sometimes other bookstores too, they have, like, those books where it's wrapped up in brown paper, and it says, like, blind date with a book, and then it tells you, like, stuff about it, but not what it is, and then you can buy it, and unwrap it, and then that's the book you get. So, I went to Barnes & Noble once, and I couldn't resist myself. I wanted it, and I got this. Now, I'd never heard of it before, but every single person that I've seen, like, talk about it online has, like, said that they've said the same thing. They all say that they don't remember a single thing about it after reading it. And I think most people give it, like, 3 stars. So it's like, but then I always didn't want to get rid of it because I bought it full price in the blind date with a book thing. And then it's like, I'm not even going to read it. I mean, at this point, it was, like, years ago, so I'm feeling less bad about that. But, like, I have to at least try. Hence why I'm going to read the first chapter. So, it's supposed to be a thriller, but I've heard it's, like, not very thrilling. Or, like, I guess it's more of a mystery. I don't know if it's actually a thriller, but it's supposed to be a mystery. But apparently it's, like, more just, like, fiction. But I don't know. Let's see how long the first chapter is, because I'm getting a little tired of reading all these first chapters. But we're so close. We're so close. Okay. Oh, God. Why is this so long? Bestie, what's happening here? Bestie, no. That was a whole part 1. This is part 2, and there wasn't... There are, like, scene breaks. What if I call the scene break a chapter? Oh my god, this book is already having... You know what? Most of these have been 15 pages, so I'm gonna read to on page 17 where there's a page break. That's where I'm gonna give it to, because every other book got that much of a chance, so I'm not gonna give you more of a chance than that, okay? Okay, that's what I've decided. I'm gonna read to page 17, and up to you. I have no idea what I'm gonna think about this, but we'll find out soon. Right, so I didn't even get through the 17 pages. I don't know why, but something about the writing is so incredibly boring. I only got like 8 pages in, and I just couldn't. And I feel like maybe it's because I've been reading so many books like this whole day, like the chapters thing, but I don't think so, because I didn't feel that way about any of the other ones. I don't know, man. I've also heard of a lot of people say that they found this really boring, so I don't think it's just me. And you know what? Someone else might really want this book. It's in perfect condition. It's great. And I don't want it. I do not want it. So this one is being unhauled. Okay, we have 2 books left. We're so close. We're so close. It's been many hours, guys. I know for you it hasn't, but for me, it's been a process. Okay, so the next one I actually wanted to give away. It's an advanced reader's copy. Actually, no. I guess it's not. I thought it was. I don't know. I thought it was an ARC, but I don't think it is. It's called How to Catch a Killer, and it's actually nonfiction. The main reason that I requested it, like in the giveaway, was because there was a chapter about Dahmer, and I wrote a paper about him. I've written a few papers about him in high school, and I was interested to see if this book would have anything that I didn't know about. So let's see, which chapter would he be? They'll have like fake names, which is really not, it's really not what you want, really, with the whole serial killer situation. I'm assuming he's the Milwaukee Monster. Okay, 230, let's see if I was correct. Yes, here he is. Okay, I think I'm just gonna read this chapter because this is the one I'm most interested in, and if I don't like this one, clearly I don't want the rest of it. And I got this for free, so I won't feel guilty if I don't like it. Hopefully this isn't graphic. I haven't really looked at the pictures, so hopefully it's not horrible. Anyway, I'm gonna read this chapter. It's only like 10 pages, and I'm familiar with the topic, so I don't know if I'm gonna learn anything new, but we'll see if it's interesting at all. Yeah, I'm so close. I just want to get through these last 2. I have one more after it. Okay, see you guys on the other side. Okay, I'm very rapidly losing steam at this point. It is very late at night now, and I started this in the mid-afternoon, so it's a really good sign. But anyway, I read the chapter that I wanted to read from this, and while it was well written, well researched, all lined up with things I had researched about him before, ultimately this kind of thing is not really what I want to be reading. I do like to consume content sort of like this, usually through video or documentary more, and even so, I do tend to like more fictionalized accounts because the real stuff kind of freaks me out a lot. So yeah, I don't think that I'm the target audience necessarily for this because it doesn't have a specific narrative. Oh, that's the other thing, also a true crime. I can somewhat tolerate it if it's also told through the lens of someone who physically lived through it, like from, like, they're the writer, like an FBI agent writing about their experience. I've read a memoir like that, and I did really find that interesting and fascinating, but this itself, I think, is just a little too much for me. So I will be passing it on to someone else who wants it. And finally, guys, I cannot believe we have made it this far. We are at the final book of this try a chapter video, and it is Stolen Songbird by Danielle L. Jensen. And I've seen a ton of people who love her newer series. I believe it's called like The Bridge Kingdom or something like that. But this is one of her older series, and I think it's about goblins, which like doesn't appeal to me. So that's kind of why I never read this. I feel like I can never pick it up. But the reason I bought it the first time was because a YouTuber I used to watch, I think on BookTube, like said she loved it, and then I just like bought it. I don't know. This was like right in the beginning of my like consuming bookish content days, so I just got it. Yeah, let's see how long the first chapter is. Okay, it is 16 pages, like almost every other one. This is my last one. I'm not sure what I'm gonna think about this one, but I'm just gonna go into it with no expectations and just see where it takes me. And then I'll finally be able to wrap up this video. So, see you when I'm done. Okay, we finally done it, and we ended on a good note. The first chapter of this was pretty intriguing. Our main character, oh, I don't know how to pronounce this, it's like a French name. I'm gonna say Cecile, it might be different, but she dreams of getting approval from her mother, essentially, and not being known as like the city girl who can't handle anything, like being prissy and whatnot, and she dreams of like singing in the opera and like succeeding like her mother did. I don't really know exactly, and I was kind of wrong. It's not about goblins, it's actually about trolls. So she kind of encounters this dude who kidnaps her to under a mountain. This doesn't happen in this part. She like encounters the dude in the first chapter, but she doesn't get into the mountain part. This is just kind of on the back. But eventually I know she's gonna get kidnapped and she's gonna go into like the troll world and has to like break some sort of curse. I think what really sold this for me is not necessarily the plot, because it sounds like kind of like generic, but the writing was really good, I thought, and I think it would be really like engaging, and I just think it would be like a solid fantasy series. And even if I ended up not liking this series, I would definitely check out other stuff from this author because I really like the writing style. So yeah, I'm definitely keeping this one as well. And now I can give you a quick overview of everything I'm keeping and getting rid of. Okay, so I'm just gonna start really quick with the stuff I'm getting rid of. So we have How to Catch a Killer, we have All the Missing Girls, we have Among the Beasts and Briars, and we have Which is Deep in Gold. We also have the complete Tales and Poems of Edgar Allan Poe. We have Eleanor Park. We have Nowhere But Here. And lastly, we have The Kingdom of Back by Marie Lu. So those are all the titles that I will be getting rid of, and I'm excited to have some more space on my shelves. But real quick, I just want to highlight the books that the first chapters really excited me, and I'm excited to like get to them hopefully like somewhat soon. They've already been on my shelves for long enough that I was considering getting rid of them, but they've hooked me back in. So definitely think that you guys should probably check them out, because the first chapter at least was really intriguing. So let me just go through those real quick and we'll call it a day. Okay, so first of course we have Stolen Songbird, the one I just read. We have Lore by Alexandra Bracken. We have Reign of the Fallen by Sarah Glenn Marsh. And we have Fangirl and Attachments by Rainbow Rowell. And finally, a final throwback to the very beginning of this very long video, we have I've Got Your Number by Sophie Kinsella, Just Listen, and The Truth About Forever by Sarah Dessen. So overall, I think this was very successful. In the future, I might, try to do fewer books at a time, because it was kind of exhausting to read all of these chapters at once consecutively. But I'm glad I did this, because now I'm going to be able to clear my shelves, and I'm going to be more excited about those books that I didn't know were as intriguing as they are. So yeah, please make sure to like and subscribe and comment for engagement if you enjoyed. Let me know if any of these books that I'm interested in continuing you also really liked. And yeah, that's all I have for today, so see you guys next time. Bye!